Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Lucia Soria, and I am representing the National Association of Women in Construction, Miami Chapter 31. And in celebration of Women's History Month, we've just extended our Women in Construction celebration to this second segment, and I want to welcome you today. So let's start off with a little brief introduction. Jerry?
Hi, my name is Jerry Grimes Lewis. I own Grimes Consulting. We are a compliance and diversity and inclusion contractor.
Good afternoon. My name is Soraya Marles, and I'm co-owner with JJas Installations Inc. We're a commercial door supplier and installer.
Thank you, Vicky.
Good afternoon. My name is Victoria Tomas, and I am the Senior Project Manager for the FIU Construction Trades Program.
So, ladies, last week we had the opportunity to talk to two project managers, and today, just from your introductions, we have professional services, we have trades, and we have education. So, my first question to you is, how did you get into the construction industry? Jerry, we'll start with you.
Well, it was kind of a fluke. I am a former educator. I taught school for 13 years, and one of my parents thought that I would be a good fit in this industry, and I went for it, and that was, like 9 years ago now, and it kind of stuck.
Very good. So for 9 years, you've been in the construction industry, former teacher, very similar to my story,
Correct.
which means teachers can just do about anything they want to. So I love that. Soraya, what about you?
Okay, I started construction back in 95. I worked with a civil engineer. Then I moved to Florida. I got married, and my husband did doors and hardware. And we started a company back in 2005. So we've been in business for 17 years.
Excellent, excellent. Vicky, what about your story?
Well, I spent the majority of my adult life in the mining industry. And then I met a lady named Lucia who she bit me with the education bug. So I turned my life into my second career path, which is education.
Well, I really appreciate that little shout out. And, we've all had different experiences within the construction industry. And I like to maybe touch upon, prior to the current job that you're holding, what experience in construction have you had in terms of career options? Vicky, let's start with you.
So I went from being a receptionist to being a secretary to being a human resource specialist to being a human resource and safety specialist, all within the same mining company during that 25-year period of time. And when you say mining, it's rock mining in South Florida. It's the basic product for building all of our structures in the county.
Absolutely. So, just within your own experience, you have touched upon so many opportunities right within the construction industry, right? A lot of times when we talk to students or we talk to folks, people think that construction is a pick and shovel only situation, where we're here to say that there's so many viable opportunities and financial independence. Now, Soraya, from a business owner point of view, what kind of jobs have you had to learn to do in order to run a business in construction?
My God, software, accounting, HR. I've done it all. I think the only thing I haven't done is actually go and install a door.
But you've actually, from our last conversation, I think you were even putting together training videos
Yes,
to help with the workforce issues that we're currently facing.
Yes, processes.
Excellent.
That's the key.
Excellent, because that goes, and we're going to talk a little bit about it further on, but I think the process goes into effective communication in terms of really allowing people and giving people the opportunity to learn how to correctly do something. So,
Yes.
Jerry, what about you? Besides being the business owner, what other jobs have you held in construction?
I started as an executive assistant to two vice presidents, and I have to say that they allowed so much growth for me within the industry, that I was exposed to everything from permitting to compliance, which is where I found my niche. So it takes so much to build a building that people don't realize. You see the the skyscrapers going up and the guys with their hard hats and stuff, but there's a whole team behind the scenes that make that happen.
Absolutely. And most of you, I would say the majority of your job is in the office. But I know from experience that a lot of times you have to be in the field. So could you tell us a little bit, when you are in the field, what is it that your job allows you to do? Why are you going out into the field even though the majority of your job may be in the office? Soraya, let's start with you.
Okay, I have gone to the field when there's issues, and then the owner has to go and, fix everything, right? Well, not really fix everything. You have different tools, and we have acquired techniques, and then you go into the field, and then you explain, you communicate, because this is a very rough industry, right? And they want everything yesterday, and then you're liable for everything. So you have to learn how to do that. And you go in the field, you meet the people, and being in the office, you're always emailing and on the phone. But when you have a communication face to face, it makes a big difference.
I think also one of the things that it does as a business owner, when you are out in the field walking with your clients or the superintendents and so forth, it creates a level of trust in your word and who you are as a company. So I always want to say that even though maybe your primary responsibilities are office, it's always good to be out in the field. What about you, Vicki? I know you do a little bit of both, so tell us about that.
So in my current position, it's more like compliance and going out and making sure the classes, because we teach our classes right now in 6 or 7 different locations throughout the county. We don't only teach at the university. So it's just making sure that the students have the proper structure, that is learning conducive. In my prior job, it was more like going out into the actual facility to make sure that from a safety perspective, everybody was compliant with their PPE and conflict resolution from a perspective of, how the safety factor and the human resource factor was going on in the 3 different locations that we were responsible.
Excellent. What about you, Jerry? When you're out in the field, what are you doing?
Well, I personally believe that relationships are everything. And we've missed so much in the past couple of years with that human interaction. So not only am I, ensuring compliance, but I think that being, as you stated, face to face with people, particularly now, builds that relationship. And it's better for your business, it's better for the relationship, and it's just better all the way around.
Well, when you talk about building relationships or conflict resolution, we think about skill sets, or I think about skill sets. So what traits would you consider imperative to succeed in this industry? Jerry?
Tenacity, persistence, sometimes you have to be aggressive, but without aggression, and dedication. It is a tough industry, particularly if you're a woman. Because it is a male-dominated industry, but it gets in your blood, and you fall in love with it, and it becomes second nature. But you definitely have to have that tenacity and a little bit of a tough exoskeleton, because it's a tough industry.
But a lot of times we think, or we perceive, that we have to continuously prove ourselves. So Daya, for you, what are the traits that you feel are successful?
Commitment, honesty, dedication, and you got to build up your self-esteem. That you're capable, that you will do what you say you're going to do, and then just move forward there. As she was saying, this is a male-dominant trade or industry. And when you go, they just see the woman. They don't see your ability. So I have encountered that many times. And it's just, for me, it's education. I'm always in a class. I'm reading something. I'm watching a video. I'm doing something where whenever I speak, I know what I'm talking about.
That's excellent. Vicki, what about you?
I want to piggyback on Soraya. You need to be knowledgeable you need to know what you're talking about. You got to walk the talk.
Mhm.
I mean, you're going to have to be 150% better than the man in the room because you are a woman. So proving that you have the knowledge, that you have the know-how, and there's something that we ladies do, and that's called, we are very detail oriented.
Mhm.
So I find that to be the biggest asset in my current position, where we're managing 180 students in class at a given time, and it's got to be detailed. You got to have that detail knowledge of what's going on, and pretty much self assurance. Don't ever let them see you sweat, because then they believe that you're not capable. Just because you got nervous, and we all get nervous, it's normal.
Everyone does.
But if they see you sweating, then you have a problem. So you hold on to that sweat, and you just true grit to the end.
Absolutely. For me, I always talk to young girls, and in general, everyone in general, because I think one of the things that we're losing as a society is our ability to communicate effectively, and that's something that I try to, on a personal level, improve constantly. And you're never there, right? It's always a journey to get better and better. I know that you must be knowledgeable, and you also need to be a good listener, because in construction it is a team that is building, and it's a domino effect, because one part of the project touches another part, and it's continue, and we all know it's schedule driven and so forth. So all the traits that you guys have mentioned, absolutely imperative in making a successful team in the construction of any project, regardless of size. Now, you all touched on the gender question, right? So you led me right to it. So I'm going to either ask that you maybe give us an experience and or a suggestion to perhaps young ladies that are thinking about coming into this industry, what you would tell them from the get-go, so that they would feel they can come walk in with more confidence, that their self-esteem is built. If you were to mentor somebody, and the gender question would come up, what would you say? Jerry, you're right next to me, so
Yeah.
you go.
Well, I think that for anyone who has made the choice to make this a career, you touched on self confidence. That is probably 99.9% of the battle. I think that you need to understand that the bias is there going in. I wish we could change it, but I don't think we're going to do that in one fell swoop. And be prepared. Be confident. You can be bold without being aggressive or putting people off, but you have to begin with the foundation that you are strong, you are knowledgeable, and you can do this. And I think that people see that, and eventually, maybe not at first, but eventually you'll earn their respect, and you'll have a wonderful career in a great industry.
Absolutely. Soraya, what about you?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on you as well. I had experiences when they see the very female look that they think that
That's an interesting way of putting it.
yes, that you're not able to perform the job, or that you don't have the knowledge enough. I had people ask me, "Why isn't your husband here?"
Mm.
And my lead estimator, it's also a girl, my sister-in-law, and she's worked the field, the office. She's great at everything that she does. She's very knowledgeable. And I was like, because we don't need my husband. She knows well, and I also capable of answering any questions that you have. And I told them straight, "Are you intimidated because we're women?"
You put it back on them.
No. So, if I was mentoring girls, I would tell them, make sure you know the skill or the topic that you're going to talk about, and also invest a lot of time on communication, leader skills. It's very important.
It's very important. And, when we talk about NAWIC, and Vicky, I'll get to you. When we talk about NAWIC, one of our missions is to obviously empower women in the construction industry. But the question then becomes how? Well, we have tons of certification programs. We have tons of programming for professional development and education. And I think it's everyone's personal responsibility if they want to grow in the industry, if they want to get better in the industry and they want to become more knowledgeable, you have to invest in yourself. And you invest in yourself by giving up of your time and going into these educational programs, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a forum, and making these connections. Also, professional associations provide a lot of leadership opportunities. You can step into many roles and grow from there. You know, public speaking is something that a lot of people sometimes are a little fearful, and it's such an important tool to have because communication is the key to everything as we build these relationships, right? As we get the trust factor in. So, you know, with that being said, Vicky, in education, you have more of a let's say balance in terms of gender roles and so forth. But yet in your classes, what's the ratio looking like of men to women, and how do the men perceive when you are giving them the direction and you're setting the curriculums and so forth?
So I'm going to add one more thing to the prior topic that I do a lot with my young ladies. They need to dress the part. They need to dress professionally, and they need to conduct themselves and communicate in a very non-flirtatious manner. You need to be professional. Now, going back to the ratio in my classes, we're at 80-20 right now, 80 men, 20% women. The number is increasing as we do our outreach to introduce women to this wonderful non-traditional career path known as construction. So some men are totally intimidated when we have. Right now, I just added 2 women to our roster of adjunct professors for the program. They're intimidated. They are. You know, it's like, what can you teach me? You're a woman. And I always tell them the following: don't let the acrylic nails fool you. Because just because I'm a woman does not mean that I don't have the knowledge and that I don't have something to teach you. I don't do that in a cocky way. I do that, I bring it down to a level where they are understanding of the fact that we have something to bring to the table, that we always have something to teach them.
You know, you brought such an important point, and I'm hearing it more and more from a lot of the project executives, from my personal clients that tell me, you know, we're so happy that we're hiring so many more women, exactly because of the detail oriented, right? And sometimes, you know, as human beings, we see things from different perspectives. But when you have a variety and a diversity within the mix of your team, you know, you can probably complete that puzzle a little bit better. So I'm hearing it more and more. Makes me happy to hear that, because we are a driving force. We're still a minority within the industry, but we are making great strides, and you're seeing women excel and climb that ladder at faster rates because of the skill sets that they're bringing into and the professionalism. So, you know, that's important. And I want to stick on the education for a moment, because, you know, I don't like keeping secrets. And I think that the FIU trade program is too much of a secret right now. And we have been putting it out there in many ways and in many forums, but I'd like you to just touch a little bit upon what classes are being taught, what's the general curriculum, and the opportunities available. And I think the key factor here, it's free, 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 free. So why don't you talk to us a little bit more about that, so that we can let our viewers understand, because they may have someone, they may need this opportunity today.
Okay, so we have a program called the Construction Trades Program at FIU. It is exactly what the word says, construction trades. Plumbing, electrical, carpentry, construction craft labor. We're about to start HVAC, solar panel installation, carpentry, and we recently started on a project management. All of these titles are NCCER, the National Center for Construction Education and Research. They're all national certifications, and they're all classes that are taught in 6-month increments, 2 nights a week. And at the end of that program, you come out with a level 1 certification, pre-apprenticeship from the Florida Department of Education, OSHA 30, forklift certification, and we help you find a job, and we follow you a year after you do the program to make sure that any obstacles that you have along the way are removed. We advertise the program. However, most of our enrollment comes from word of mouth from successful program students that have joined the program. We service the unemployed, underemployed, returning citizens, returning veterans, women who have been victims of domestic abuse. We're now moving into servicing in-house at detention facilities in the county. And we're moving into two new classes dear to my heart that we're going to start. Is one at a facility for women's of um, oh my god,
You can come back to it.
I'll come back to it. Yeah, human trafficking, women victims of human trafficking, and we're going to be also reaching out into servicing young men and women aging out of foster care.
That is such a huge commitment on the university's part in the program, and it's so needed because Soraya, I don't know about you, but I know that workforce is really hard to come by, and not just workforce with some skills, workforce with some commitment, and that's something I think the industry is facing right now. What have you guys heard out there from your clients in terms of workforce needs? Starting with you, Soraya.
Oh my God, I almost everyone I know it's facing lack of labor and skilled labor. So our we had this big project and we advertised for almost a year before because we knew the project was coming up and we didn't get anybody.
Wow.
I reached out to Vicky here and I actually employed 2 people from their program and we created processes, procedures. We started at McDonald's, a door line. We created that with my husband and my brother. And my husband also got really creative, and we even patented a machine that he built in order to fulfill the gap that we had. And
Wow.
It was huge. But it also makes you resourceful, right? And we have in mind to train people ourselves. So we're working on that because people get a carpentry license or they go for that trade, but it's not the same for doors.
Right.
It's a different.
It's more of a defined skill set.
Yes. And we do commercial. We don't do residential.
Right.
So then it's different. We do a lot of hospital work. We do a lot of school work. So the requirements are different. So the skill sets are also different.
So Jerry, with your experience, I know you worked on a lot of projects where there's been commitments by the developers to use local workforce. And, you have these wonderful goals that are set, but then how do you fill the goal if we do not have a workforce that has some education, or how do you entice people to come into the industry to, number one, have a job where they're financially independent, they can make good money, and number two, long lasting, because construction has not slowed down here in South Florida. But yet, how do we fill the commitments that people are making when workforce is diminishing daily? What's been your experience?
Well, that's an interesting question. I think that a lot of people don't understand. The push has always been nothing against higher education. I'm obviously a fan, but the push has always been college, and not everyone is college. That's
Or
not their
wants to.
thing, or wants to.
Or
That's
wants
what
to.
that's what I mean. So
Or
can feasibility, but I think that it's not told enough the income levels that are in this industry. On any given day in Miami, the deficit of electricians is over 2,000. So you have companies looking for 2,000 electricians, and a journeyman right now, just Miami-Dade County base wage is $37, a little over $37 an hour. Drywall, same thing. The base wage just for the county, which is not indicative of market, is about $36.66. So there's money to be made in the industry, and the training is not a 4-year commitment. It can be done in a much shorter period of time, and you have a career. It's not just a temporary job or a stopgap or a bridge. It's a career, and buildings are built and torn down all the time.
All the time. And it's not just a career that you can work for someone else. It's a career that allows you the flexibility when you're your own shop, whatever the trade may be. So, and you're absolutely right. When kids are in school, the middle school, high school students, we're obviously, I think we're all brought up that way, right? What are you going to be? Are you going to be a doctor? You're going to be a teacher? You're going to be an accountant? But, no one ever really talked about the trades. But believe me, when that air conditioner goes out, you're willing to pay anything when it's South Florida, August, to get that air conditioning running. When, you have an issue with plumbing, you're going to do whatever it takes to get that toilet running. So we have to create the information that it is a very excellent way to earn a living. There is no shame in being a tradesman or woman. You can make very good money. You're very much needed. And we need to, from a personal perspective, I think we need to start that education earlier and earlier. With NAWIC, we have the block kits competition, and we really do introduce construction trades as well as other career opportunities back in the elementary school age, just to plant that seed, right? When you plant a seed and you feed it, it will grow and it'll bloom into something beautiful. So I think we that are in the industry need to, as we work in our community service projects and so forth, continue to preach that, construction is a great place for everyone. Whether you are clerical, whether you're field, whether you're a tradesperson, there's just so many opportunities. And as you pointed out, Vicki, you started in one place in the mining company, and we just continue to grow and succeed. So, touched a little bit about community service, and I'm a big believer in community service. I'm a big believer in giving back. I'd like to know, Soraya, a little bit about what you're doing for the community.
For the community. Well, I always hire from any of those schools where they have like internships. I have given internships to a lot of young people. And right now we're working, we created a foundation called the I Am Foundation in honor of my daughter, Jasmine. And with this foundation, what we're going to do, we're going to provide children that don't have the means to play an instrument or do anything with the arts to be able to do that. So that will be coming up. We got approved, and we're working on developing the program.
Well, we would love to follow up with you on that and help you promote that program, because we do have a need in our community to continue to foster the arts. Coming from the education background, we all know that the money, that's the first place that it's taken out of.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure there's opportunities out there for students to really excel and have an outlet for their creativity, as well as have something that will give them self-esteem and build their confidence and keep them out of trouble.
Yes.
So thank you for doing that. Appreciate that. Vicki, what about you? What community service projects are you involved in?
Well, the program itself is a community
Exactly.
service project. From a personal perspective, I do a lot of community service with cancer research for very personal reasons. Family members and myself, we're all survivors of cancer, and we try to always be a part of any association that's doing cancer research and seeking funding for that. My students as a whole, in my team, we always try to make sure that we reach out to the less fortunate ones within the program, and we identify them early on to be able to assist them as far as bus passes, connecting them with the right services when it comes to childcare, when it comes to hey, I have no transportation, but the bus is too far. So through another grant that we have, we try to connect them with an Uber at the beginning until their car gets repaired and so forth. So we do a whole lot of different community services out there, within the realm of the program.
Thank you. Jerry?
Well, like every woman sitting at this table, I wear several hats. One of which is I am involved with a similar trade program called Urban Construction Craft Academy. And we take young men and women, teach them a trade. All of our professors are volunteer. And again, it's a similar program, a different locale. We follow them for a year, and a lot of times there's bumps in the road, and you can't just teach them and then put them out the door. So there's that, and then my involvement with National Association of Women in Construction. Through that organization, we do charity events all the time. But something that I wanted to note, we are getting ready to announce some scholarships that we're awarding through National Association of Women in Construction. So please stay tuned for that. And that's about it.
I think we're pretty busy out there. With the National Association of Women in Construction, we've partnered along with the South Bay Chamber of Commerce to help school board member Lucia Santos with District 9 deep down South Dade. We have about 26 schools that are in her district. And one of the things that we find is that she is all the way out here in downtown Miami. So we want to help her get her hub ready. So we'll be talking about that a little more in our next segment. I truly want to appreciate and thank you for your time today. I think what you're doing is fabulous. Keep it up. Keep being that mentor. Keep being that role model. And continue to empower women in the industry and continue to promote the National Association of Women Construction. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.